right? And everybody still comes in, I mean, still craving for that style of original
Welcome, everybody, to the Coffee and Code Cast, a weekly live stream tech podcast where we talk about neither coffee or code. I'm Kyle Johnson.
And I'm Mike Sheehan. Today on the cast. In our follow-up and show news, we're going to take a check-in with Kyle's do-it-yourself project, get an update. I see some cool thing on the table over here. Want to hear more about that. And we're going to, part two for our main topic today, we talked about last week reorganizing, restructuring your tech teams. And today we're going to continue on talking about office culture and the space, your workspace. That's what I was trying to say. I haven't had any beers yet, I promise.
How to piss people off.
Yeah. And in the news, we got quite a bit of news that came out the last few days. I'm going to try to talk about all my things so that we can push the Tesla news to the end or kick it off.
We have more Tesla news?
Oh, fuck, dude. We'll see if we have time for it. All right. So that's kind of what we got coming up today. First, I just want to, shout out's the right way, but just kind of acknowledge our good friends in the Midwest, in the Silicon Prairie. You know, they've been hit by some pretty awful weather. They had that bomb vortex storm that blew through.
Was it bomb cyclone?
Bomb cyclone, yeah.
Cyclone bomb?
That sounds right, yeah.
Yeah.
And, which really like brought in just some nasty, nasty weather. And then following that, they had tons of the weather was so bad it caused tons of flooding. So things heated up really rapidly. Yeah, but the ground was frozen, and so levees have broken. I think now something like over a dozen levees broke, causing massive, massive flooding. I think it's even worse than like in 2011 when they had been hit. 88 cities and 74 counties impacted.
So this is mainly because they had kind of a massive amount of snow come in really, really rapidly, right?
Yeah,
and
ice,
then
snow, yeah.
Suddenly, and then a sudden heat up.
Yeah.
That melted all that snow and ice that they had accrued within like weeks. Like I kept seeing notices from people that I know in the area. And And they were just like, can it stop snowing? Can it stop snowing? Can it stop snowing? And then sure enough, yeah, it did.
It did, and it turned around so quickly that the ground, it's still, the frost is so thick that the water had nowhere to go. And so, yeah, it's caused just mass destruction. I saw a figure as high as $1 billion for the agriculture community alone, like the impact. And I've seen just some horrific photos of, farms that are just obliterated, and even a story today that volunteer pilots are bringing planes in to try to get people out of areas where there aren't any roads anymore.
Wow. I think I even saw that, did I see in here that Fremont was one of the cities affected?
Huge. Yeah, hugely affected. Like, it's like there isn't a Fremont. I don't know. I haven't seen a whole lot, but Jason, I was talking to my brother the other day, and he had told me that, even Dodge Street, when you get out there near Valley, from 204th on, I think, is closed. So you can't even get out. And Dodge is that's like next thing to a highway out there. I mean, that's a major thoroughfare going east-west.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't access that, can't get to Fremont. So, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I worked in the Fremont area. I actually worked in Blair, but we served the Fremont area when I lived back in the Midwest, and I definitely spent a lot of time in Fremont, so I'm very familiar with the area, and that's, super sad. I've seen some photos on Facebook where, it's just, it's almost hard to comprehend because, like, all you see is just, like, infinite water.
Yeah.
You don't even really know the scale of what you're looking at just because of how massive the amount of water is that's covering the ground.
Someone described it saying it's like an ocean.
Yeah, it looks like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're thinking of you guys, and hopefully everyone's staying safe and getting out of the way. But we've got listeners out there, and so we just wanted to acknowledge that top of the show. So hang in there.
Silicon Prairie.
Yeah, let us hear from you if you're listening. Let us know how you're doing, and reach out.
From some solemn and somber news to something a little more exciting, we've got our first Coffee and Codecast. I don't know. Do you want to call it merch? Marketing material? I don't know what you'd call it.
It's marketing material. It's not really merch, maybe. We could sell them for like $1,
I suppose.
a nickel.
Yeah, there you go.
Sell them for a nickel. That'd be merch.
You got to pay the postage.
Yeah.
But we got Coffee Codecast stickers. They're really cool. They're the new logo that our friend Yerne did. Got a really nice kind of die cut sticker. So like the Space Needle kind of sticks out of the top.
Yeah, the top of the needle pops out the top of the sticker, and it's got a cool little slant on it. And yeah, what is it? The Pike Market signage.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool.
Yeah, with our name on it. It's got a nice little, like, I don't know, sunrise, sunset type background on it. Looks really great.
Sounds like you've already started to graffiti the office with these things.
Well, I handed them out to some folks. What they do with them is their own prerogative.
Well, I'll tell you what.
If they end up on the elevator doors, it's not my fault.
Yeah. Well, here's the problem that I have with it. That's fine. You're handing them out to people. But I'm getting blown up. I'm getting accused. They're saying, oh, did you put this sticker on my desk, or did you do this? And I said, whoa, hey, I think that wasn't me. They're like, sure. I couldn't imagine it was Kyle that did that.
Well, I'm going to pimp the show a little bit, I mean, somebody's got to get the word out there.
I'll help a little bit. I'll do a little bit. We'll get out there. I think we had a good plan. We're going to go down to South Lake Union, Amazon's campus, and have a couple margaritas, and then just, plaster them in every bathroom within like a mile radius over there.
I like this plan.
And that's our recruiting. That's our marketing strategy.
Yeah. But hey, we got a couple of hundred of these things. So, I mean, if you really want one, reach out to us. Maybe we can figure out a way to get one to you.
Yeah, we can drop one in the snail mail.
Yeah.
And tell your friends about them.
Stick it to your laptop.
Put them
help us get the word out.
No,
get some listeners.
They look very cool.
Yeah.
The feedback on those have been really spectacular so far. Nice work.
And I've already been asked about more merch. Somebody asked me when we're getting the Coffee Codecast tees made up.
Oh, that's cool. We could do that. I think we have to. Lester had given me a ton of details on who he goes for the printing. So we've got a few sites, and I think the min order is something like 12. You can do one-offs, but then you're going to pay a lot of money. You'll pay like $30-$40 a shirt.
Right.
So maybe we'll just get a small assortment.
If you're interested in a shirt, let us know, and then maybe we can get together and order. But
yeah, that sounds awesome. Wow, we're getting some swag. That's pretty neat. We had a lot of people listen to the episode last week too. The Don't Rip My Nuts Off episode was a hit.
I hope people appreciated the title on that one right away. What in the hell is this?
It could have scared some people away too. I don't know.
Could have.
Yeah, but it was fun reminiscing the old college days and shenanigans that I got into back then. So it was fun.
Good. And a lot of good feedback.
Good feedback. People enjoyed that. And in fact, My mom even gave me a hard time. She said, I hope you can appreciate that Friday night I'm learning how to download Spotify on my phone so I can listen to this podcast of yours.
Yes. Got to get her up to date on the newest technologies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, she's got it now, so hopefully she can tune in again and check it out.
Yeah. I know my mom listens too. I don't know if she's forced my dad into it yet, but
Yeah. Well, one at a time, man.
yeah.
One at a time. We'll get there. So what the hell's going on in here? You talked about this a little bit, your DIY project. Why don't you remind everyone what you're doing here and tell me what the hell I'm looking at.
Yeah, so I just wanted to do a quick update on this little do-it-yourself project that I've been talking about, or I've talked once about. What it amounts to is kind of a controller for Sonos. And the way that might work is in this case, you might take kind of if you can think of photo cubes, you might have on your desk, right? It has like a photo on each side of the cube.
Okay, yeah.
That type of thing. And basically you put that onto a RFID reader, and it picks up the particular ID for that particular side and is able to match that to, say, a playlist or an artist or something like that on Spotify or something in your Sonos, and kick off Sonos playing whatever that is. So let's say, for instance, on your side of your cube, you might have the playlist that we play prior to our show. Stick that face down onto the RFID reader. It picks up the ID, sends it to some software. Somewhere in that software, you have a matching of that ID to the playlist URL or whatever you need for the API. That fires off a request to Sonos to say, hey, play this particular playlist on this particular device, and away it goes.
That's pretty cool.
And as soon as you pick it up, it knows that it's been removed, so instant stop.
Oh, I see. So it's not just a queuing mechanism. It's like it needs to be on there when you pick it up.
That's right.
Oh,
Yep.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Like
So
that.
sitting in front of me, and I'll take a picture of it and put it on the in the show notes here, as I have a breadboard. And if you're not familiar with what a breadboard is, it's basically just a way to do kind of electrical engineering, I guess.
Yeah, without having to solder, you can just get little jumper pins, right?
Yep, exactly.
Plug and play kind of a thing.
Yeah. So on here, there's a board, an Arduino board, which I think you're familiar with.
Yeah, yeah.
So got an Arduino board here that has a Wi-Fi connection, which is able to send and receive requests. We've got a power supply over here that gives I can do 3.3 volt or 5 volt, which is important because the Arduino is 3, the RFID reader is 5, so I have to have two different
very good. Okay.
flavors of power here. And then obviously here's the RFID reader. So you would set things here in this particular spot to have it pick up, and then away it would go. So currently, this is the only portion of it that I don't have working. So power's working. This guy's working. I have a piece of software running on my Synology at home. So another piece of this whole thing is you had to have an API running all the time that the Arduino can talk to. And on my Synology, I set up Docker. So I have a Docker image that has the Sonos Node API running all the time. If it dies, it'll just instantly restart it. So this can now talk to that API at my house on my Synology. So I have a lot of it set up. So the next thing that I have to do is figure out just how to make the IDs come from the RFID reader over to the Arduino. So that's my next piece. And that's what these are. So these are stickers, RFID stickers.
Yeah.
So these would go on the inside of the cube that this thing would pick up. As soon as you set it down, bam, it would send a signal to the Arduino, and away we go. So this was really cool. I did all this probably in about a day, a little less than a day, to get all this working.
It's an impressive setup, and I'll say this. I have worked with Arduino and NetDuino and Raspberry Pi. That's a small processor. That chip there is probably what would you compare it to? It's like probably the size of a matchbox.
Maybe, or like
Smaller?
a couple, maybe like the length and width of like a couple nickels stacked, end to end type of thing. It's not very big.
It's tiny, and it's super thin too. It's not a thick thing at all.
Right. And it's capable. I mean, it's not like a super powerful processor, but it's capable. It has a lot of functionality built into it, right?
Right. Rain. We did hear from Rain. He says he wants a shirt.
Oh, well,
he's gonna have to come on the show first.
I mean, that's been offered, but he's not taking us up on that. So.
He said he wanted a free lunch too.
Free lunch. Now we gotta pay the people that are coming on the show.
To plan the show, and then once we have a plan for the show, then he wants a T-shirt and he'll come on and do it.
Maybe if he helps me set up this RFID reader, I can help him out.
Yeah, that sounds like a good trade-off. Oh, good, man.
I mean, I already gave him a sticker. What else does he want?
I don't know. You know, Rain's always jonesing for one. You know, he's a good negotiator, is what I'd say. So he's always trying to get something out of the deal.
There you go.
He did negotiate something pretty cool today that I could give him credit for. Is that we got a couple new guys that came in on Monday. Well, yeah, a few new guys came in. Anyway, he said, "Hey, you know, we should really take these guys out to lunch on Q-Dub's dime." And I was like, "Well, that's a good idea. Let me see what we can do." So sure enough, may have had a little crew over at Colin's Pub for lunch today.
Oh, no wonder I couldn't get a hold of anybody.
Compliments of the HQ.
Yeah, Brian whipped out the old Amex there.
I wanted some miles, so I paid for it.
Oh,
yeah,
all right,
and expensed it.
Little reimbursement.
No big deal.
So that's the update on the DIY project here. I'm still kind of working through it. Like I said, I need to figure out the RFID piece, but it's been easier. It's very overwhelming to look at. Like if you've never done any of this kind of stuff, like just to kind of get into it is very overwhelming.
Yep.
And hard, like just like anything, I guess you get into that's technical. It's difficult to understand at the onset, but starting to get my head wrapped around it, and it's easier than that may appear, at least to begin with. So
I was just going to give you a hard time because when you were describing the process, I thought to myself, what happened to just press and play on the old tape player, man? Like you're describing like 47 different processes. Well, the Synology running through my Docker's got to be running, then it'll auto restart. And I've got 5 volts and 3.3 to power this RFID, and the sticker has to be here. And it's actually a really cool project. It's just kind of funny like how we've advanced in such a small time.
Well, two things. Number one, I'm trying to get back to the point of like, you know, the record player, so I can just set something down and it plays, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So there's that. And then number two, that maybe just gives you more appreciation for the record player itself, because how much technology did they have to have in the record player to get the record to play? That's all I'm saying.
I know. It's just a difference. You're just shifting it. I get it.
Yep.
You know, we get more people commenting here on Teams than we do on Slack. I'm going to have to keep my Teams open too. He goes lunch first. Yep, lunch first. He said he'll come on the show.
Well, maybe we need to have a Coffee Code Cast channel in the Teams.
We could. Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah,
we could do that too. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah, dude, that's sweet. How we doing? Oh, we're doing pretty good actually. Anything else you want to talk about before we jump into shit? Like, what have you been up to, man? How's your week going?
I'm ready for it to be over.
Yeah, really.
It's been a busy one. It's been good. There's been a lot of stuff going on. We've made a lot of progress on our projects, but it's been a stressful week, to say the least.
Oh, look, it's Boley.
Hey.
You're going to find out I smoked the wacky weed.
Boley, get over here, dude.
Hold on.
Oh, man, he doesn't know that we're... Boley! Damn it, Boley, get over here. Ah, we lost him.
No, he's coming.
You're a little late for work, Kyle.
How you doing, buddy?
You were just called out on the cast.
Something about the wacky weed? I don't know.
Are you guys on right now?
We're on right now, dude. Get over there and just say hi. Just say, hey, what's up?
Hey, to all my adoring fans,
Yeah.
thanks for having me on.
Say hi to Rain. He's on the show right now, too. He's listening.
I can't hear him.
No, you can't hear him. He's not live on the show. He's just, like, listening.
Oh, okay. Hi, Rain.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was nice. Yeah, I know. You've had a long week, and you've had some pup issues and some other things like that, unfortunately, that you're dealing with, too.
Yeah, those aren't the worst of the issues. Most of the issues are project related, just trying to get things scoped, get things moving in a timely fashion.
Because you've had some scope adjustments recently.
A few.
As I understand, to put it mildly, right?
Yeah. And an imposing deadline that originally was kind of a nice to hit, and now it's a must hit. So yeah, it's there's a few things in the fire.
Yeah. Well, not surprised. That's kind of how it goes sometimes. And hey, Bully, we'll see you later, man.
Peace.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. Well, we have a lot of moving things right now, don't we? I mean, we've got a lot of existing projects that are on their way across the finish line, but a lot of new things in motion since the acquisition, things like compliance and I don't know. That's the big one, compliance.
Yep, and that's where a lot of those stressors are coming from is getting scope around those projects and getting those done in conjunction with things that we already had planned that would have taken us right up to the deadline as it is, or even over the deadline. So,
yeah, that's a huge one, and I would say too. I mean, we've had our big hiring run. So we've been engaged in quite a few interviews this quarter. Really, since Jan 1, it was interview. I don't know, interview hell. I mean, it was just like a revolving door of people coming through. And now that they're coming on board, it's very exciting, but it's even another slowdown because you got to get these guys up to speed and make sure they're set up and know how the systems work before you can get some productivity out of them. So it's going to take a little time.
To be fair, though, I think when I tell my wife that how quickly we hired these folks, you know, how many interviews we did as opposed to how many hires we had, she's kind of amazed. Like their hiring percentage is far less than ours is.
Is it really?
Yeah. They'll interview 20 people before they make a hire.
Wow.
So she was like, holy crap, how did you fill that many heads that quickly? So for us, although it felt painful compared to other companies, I think we did really, really well. But yes, there was some lost productivity there for sure.
Yeah, it's good to hear that. I think that's encouraging. It is one of those things, though, because we are so lean, it feels like it just cuts into everything. You know, it's hard to find a chunk of time where you can be productive getting work done.
Well, when you have, a quarter of your engineering staff in the interview, that does cut productivity a little bit.
I mean, that is kind of a funny thing that's probably not typical. I don't think that's something everybody does. I remember coming into one of these things, and it was like I thought we were in the Trump boardroom for a minute there, you know, like on The Apprentice. There was like every chair was full of developers, and this poor guy comes in at the end. He's just like, holy shit, man, what's going on over here?
It's a panel interview, but at least you don't have to whiteboard.
That's true. We don't do the whiteboarding, which a lot of people have appreciated that. And I think we've still done a really fantastic job of vetting folks through the coding exercise that we give them beforehand, and then just the dialogue that we have on site too. So I know we talked about that before, but it did go really well. And now that these guys are starting to sit down here and come in, it's been a very good process.
Yeah,
fun.
Already getting production. It's great. So
we're moving. Yeah, exactly.
Let's move.
All right. KJ, last week we had a good conversation about reorganizing your tech team, restructuring, reorganizing. And I thought it would be fun because this is what's cool about the cast. Like sometimes we plan ahead for things a couple weeks in advance. Sometimes we just decide, hey, we want to do something today. Let's just do it. And that was kind of the situation here, is that this morning I came into the office and there was a bit of a frenzy going on because everybody, quite a few people on our floor, we're running out of space with all these new hires. And so we had to reshuffle where people sit. And so our IT group and our DBAs moved upstairs. And so that freed up quite a few rooms and caused a lot of chaos. And so I wanted to talk about that, you know, because I think as much as it's just kind of laughable, like, oh, just pick a desk and shut up. Like, it really is one of the biggest points of contention, I would say, for the staff is when we move.
Nobody wants to move.
Nobody wants to move. People are never happy about where they're going, which is kind of funny because that always happens. And then when it's time to move again, it's like nobody wants to move again. They're like, well, I fucking love this spot, you know, that I hated 3 months ago. Now it's great, and I have to move again. What the fuck, man?
It's more of a disruption. It's like you have to pick up all your gear. You have to take everything out of your drawers. You have to move to a different place that you aren't used to walking to every day, right? I have that problem. I moved to the office here, and yeah. I think for a month after that, I'd go to the bathroom and come back and walk right on past it and then be like, oh, shit, I'm back over here now.
I'm not there anymore.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, you have a lovely office. I call it the Zen room. It kind of reminds me of like when I did some therapy in college, like kind of one of those spaces. I just want to go sit down and have you ask me questions about my childhood.
I don't want to ask any questions, but that's what I was shooting for. I wanted it to be a big place that people wanted to come in and chit-chat. Like, I don't want it to be cold and not inviting. That's kind of the whole point.
Yeah, it's very warm and cozy, and you have some nice furniture in there. So, but that is important to a lot of people. Like my setup, and whether it's a cube or a desk, it's kind of a huge deal. So like this morning, for example, I was kind of telling you, people were not happy for various reasons. Some people had really nice desks, and now they're going to little cubes, and they're kind of in the open where they had a private space with a couple people, and now there's going to be a dozen people in this open space.
Well, and we've talked about this a little bit before, you know, like we have some rooms here that are pretty small. You know, you might put 2 or 3 people in them, and then we have other rooms where maybe you're going to have 6, 7, maybe. And it gets noisy. Like, it's hard to work in those kind of environments. So you have enough people that even with headphones, it's almost overwhelming unless you have something that maybe is noise canceling or something like that.
Right.
The other thing you have to realize too is like these people are spending half their life sitting in this position at this place. So like it
Right.
should be something that they're comfortable. Like we joke here about that, like it's not important, or, you know, it's kind of silly that people are making such a big deal out of it. But you know what? Like you spend a ton of your life sitting in that exact spot.
Well, I would agree with that. And I would say that it is a big deal and that we should put more emphasis on it. We don't put enough emphasis on it here. And I think most companies probably don't either. Most companies would just say, oh, grab a chair and make me money. And I would say that I agree with you because I know that I was already very curious about where I was going to and not very happy at first, thinking, oh, I'm not going to have, I have a better setup now than I'm going to have. And I don't want to do that. I want it to be as good or better. And, you know, like we've talked about it before, like there's just, it seems like sometimes it can be differential treatment, right? You've got executives that have glamorous suites. You've got, you know, $100,000 renovations and things going on in certain parts of the company, the office. And then it's like, oh, shut up and just like grab a cardboard box and figure it out,
Yeah.
you know? And so I do think that it's something that companies that want to be competitive need to consider. They need to have the ability to say, look, you pick out your desk or you pick out your chair. We're going to give you a budget or an allowance. You can have what you want, just like you can get computer equipment. Let the guy have his damn setup, right? I mean, for maybe you only say it's $1,000. I don't know what it is, but you can do a lot with that.
It's interesting that you say that too, because I think the typical startup life anyway these days is now that you have the desks, much like I have. It's the sit-stand desk, but they have them in a very open floor plan configuration. You oftentimes kind of, I guess, back to back, you might think of, I guess is the best way to describe it. And then there'll be rows of them, you know, just rows and rows and rows and rows that way. So it's very open. There's no walls of any kind anywhere. No, not even like the little, you know, short cue balls or anything like that.
No.
Just you're right next to the next person. So there's no privacy whatsoever in a lot of these new startups. And that's pretty typical. So I think it's something that as a tech industry, we have to kind of get used to. That's just kind of the way it works. But I am interested to know, like, what is your feeling on, like, here we can't really do an open floor plan because we have a lot of very structured kind of rooms that we utilize. So there's not just one big massive floor space like a lot of these companies. But do you prefer kind of an open floor plan with like maybe kind of like the short cue balls, or would you rather be in a room where you have some separation?
I'd rather have my own room. I mean, I'm joking a little bit, but I would almost prefer, like, you have a nice size office. I would be fine if it was something that was even smaller than that was maybe down the hall. Instead of having 4 or 5 big rooms, you had 8 smaller offices with a door on each side. So he had maybe 16. Oh, that's nice. Rain did say that your office is very cozy, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you. He doesn't spend much time in there.
No, you need to go in there and check it out a little bit more. Maybe if you had a little, you need to have some offering. Like, can you have like a little candy bowl or like some treats or snacks?
Hey, that's a good idea. Well, then I'll probably eat them all.
Well, put them on the small table so that you have to like turn around to see them.
All right,
that's cool. But no, I would prefer if you just had these little studio offices, for lack of a better word, but just little mini offices where you could close the door, have privacy to take a call. Right now, if I need to take a personal call, there's not really a lot of room to do that. Got to go into the meeting space, but then somebody comes in there, and so that's difficult for one. The other problem is, you asked me, do I like cubes versus the rooms that we have? I would probably take the cubes over that, because
I wouldn't even say cubes. I would say more of like an open floor plan versus kind of like we have very structured rooms that it's not an open floor, right?
Right. The problem with the rooms that we have, they aren't acoustically treated, and you don't have any kind of boundary, and so you can hear a whisper. And on the flip side of there not being privacy, like the room I'm in, we have remote workers now, right? So we have a lot of teleconferencing going on, video conferencing, and in this room, there's a lot of that going on. So it's not uncommon to have 1 or 2 people on a call, like on Teams, with their headset on, and then maybe another conversation happening in the big room with the owl, so it's kind of out loud on speakerphone. It makes it really difficult to be productive. I think if people knew how much of a productivity killer it was, I don't think they would mind spending some money to make a better space.
Well, and that's a little bit of a mistake that the company needs to address too, is not having smaller rooms for taking calls or taking online conferences on a one-on-one basis. So again, using my wife's company as an example, they just restructured an entire floor. So they just moved an entire floor. And in that floor, they have 4 You'd almost think of them as phone booths, just bam, 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 right next to each other. Just wide enough to go sit in, has a desk, has a stool. You sit in there, you take your call, you leave. But this company could benefit from something like that, both for personal calls that have to be taken and as well as for teleconference, which we're going to do more. We have, we're owned by a company on the East Coast. We have a company that we work with overseas. We have companies in Denver and Sacramento and here. So, there's going to be more and more and more of this happening. It's just a matter of how do we deal with it.
It is. It's only going to be a bigger problem. The project I'm working on now is truly remote, cross-functional, whatever you want to call it. I've got half the team is here, half the team is in Sacramento. So that was going to be my ask, too, was for some more equipment to have. We have the TV in the new room, and I want to get the owl set up so that we can have our stand-ups with everybody and see each other and that sort of thing.
Even beyond, whether it's open floor plan versus individual offices, the other thing that a lot of engineers specifically that I know have issues with is having your back to the door. That's a lot of people have a lot of struggle with that.
I hate it.
You hate it too.
I hate it.
And you're in a particularly bad position because you even have on the way to and from the bathroom, the kitchen, whatever, basically coming to or from the building, they walk by a door that has a glass panel, which they can see basically directly in on you. So you have it even worse than many people. But I personally am not of the mindset that bothers me all that much. In fact, I turned mine intentionally so I back face the door.
You did. I'm so surprised by that.
It doesn't really bother me.
I don't have anything to hide. It's just that I'm one of those. It's a control thing, probably. Yeah. I feel safer knowing what's going on. I want to see everything. I want to be in the back corner of the room, having a full field of view. And I don't need to. It's like with a team of mine, I don't need to see what they're doing. They can have their monitors, the opposite direction. I'm not trying to look or snoop. I just want to know what's happening. I want to see everything.
Yeah, same. I don't necessarily feel like it's like people are hiding anything or anything like that. I think it's totally people don't like to be spooked. I think of Rain, who's apparently listening. He has this big ass rear view monitor or mirror across the top of his monitor.
It looks bigger than the ones in most cars.
It is. I think it's about twice as big.
Yeah. It's almost like, it's. I walk in there and it's so funny. Just like looking I zoom in on that. It's the first thing I see is like him looking at me, looking at the mirror.
So, yeah, to me, like I said, it doesn't really bother me. I have people come up in my office all day and like the same guy, Rain, he'll just stand behind me all creepy like and not say a word. And then eventually I'll just be like, bleh.
Whoa, damn.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know. It doesn't really bother me. Whatever. If people want to creep on me, that's fine. I don't care. But yeah, I know it bothers a lot of people. So being able to accommodate that sort of a layout with the rooms that we have is pretty difficult.
Yes.
And especially with the desk situation that we have, because the desks that we have are built to intentionally kind of hug the walls all the way around.
It's a terrible layout too, because these desks, if you're not in a corner, then you have absolutely zero room for a monitor. Like the things, you're basically kissing the monitor all day long. These are like they're not even countertop depth. I think they're probably 16 inches, maybe 20 inches deep and on the straightaway. And so you just don't have any good space. It's a terrible layout. And why we keep paying people to come in here and reconfigure the damn cubes is another thing that just drives me crazy, because it's so fucking expensive and they do a shitty job and it's never the way you want it. So several times we've had to reconfigure it ourselves and it still sucks. Everybody gets a desk and you can do whatever the hell you want with it. Here's your desk. You get one and then you can't bitch again because you got your desk. Now go work.
Right. And you can move it on your own. Don't have to hire a third-party company to come in and spend 5 hours moving it.
It's fucking insane how much business gets created around business. How much you were talking about, like even just delivering the furniture, how expensive that can be.
Yeah.
Okay, that's insane, because like if I'm just a regular consumer, I could probably Amazon Prime some cool shit for free. But now it's the business and it's a commercial address and there's 20 of them. It's like, oh yeah, it's going to be $10,000, man.
Yeah. By the way, if you want to build some furniture for a living, there's a lot of money to be made in that, apparently.
It's insane. How many times do these guys come in here and put it up, tear it down, put it up, tear it down?
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of dollars, probably more, probably $100,000s of dollars.
I'm sure, probably.
Just for moving some shit around.
Maybe 10 hours total of work.
Yeah, they bring in 50 guys for a day and then tear it down and tear it back up. And nobody's happy. They don't want to be there. We don't want them to be here. I don't know. I'm ranting now. I'm sorry. I hate the cube thing so much. I wish they would all just go away. I wish the best thing that could happen is that this building, being an old building, the old earthquake happens when we're not here, like on a Saturday morning, something like that. All the cubes get obliterated, and then we just have to go to another place that has normal desks.
Move into the Wells Fargo Tower or something. Columbia Tower, more modern building. Smith Tower.
Sure. I mean, the Smith Tower would be fantastic. I would love that. I'm sure there's vacancy there. Columbia Tower would be awesome too. We could go to the Columbia Tower Club.
There you go.
And
Mike's all about his status. Big baller status.
Baller status, dude. It's on the 75th floor. I mean, who's going to bitch about that? That's the best view in Seattle. The Space Needle doesn't even go that high. Not even close. I think that's probably, I don't know. Maybe it goes up to the 50th floor. I have no clue. But that thing's on a hill, too. It's further back than the Space Needle is. I digress. Anything else you want to talk about with the office culture? All I would say, I'd make an appeal to our leadership. I think that they underestimate how important it really is to people. And I think there's a couple things there. One, they all have fucking offices anyway, so I think it's hard to relate. If you got a beautiful office, you can shut the door, do whatever you want to do. Do you really know what it's like to be stuffed in a room with 6 people all day? and two, we spend a lot of money on a lot of other perks, but I think this is something that is just always forgotten and just assumed well, nobody cares. A desk is a desk is a desk. And I would say that you could actually get a lot more productivity and satisfaction out of the team if they had a work environment that they felt like they could focus in and were comfortable in.
Yeah, I would say you hit the nail on the head. If your environment's comfortable and something that you want to be in and day out, you're going to probably have a high level of productivity. Whereas if you're constantly fidgeting with your chair or can't get comfortable because of, like you said, the depth of the desk or the feel of the desk or who knows, there's a million different possible problems that you could run into. But I think if all that stuff works for you, then that's one less thing you have to worry about and you can be more productive.
So bigger budgets for
everything.
Bigger budgets for office furniture.
Yeah.
I don't need a $1,200 Aeron chair to be happy. I mean, this one right here is probably $150. It's great.
I don't know. You were looking when you were in San Francisco. I remember there was a chair that you were looking at that would hold your monitor. You could recline in it. So you'd basically be laying on your back looking up at the monitor. And then it would hold your mouse and your keyboard. So you could basically sleep in your desk effectively.
You could.
Yeah.
It looked like a high-tech dentist chair. And you had to get in and sit down, and you'd be upright like a normal chair would be, and you'd be looking at the monitor in front of you, and then, there's a few different buttons. You press one of the buttons, and all of a sudden the thing tilts back, and the recliner kicks out, and yeah, you're kind of in a zero gravity kind of floating position while you work. And everybody asked, don't you just fall asleep in something like that? But they did a lot of research on this and said, no, actually, you're so relaxed that you can focus and get more work done. I don't know if I really believe that, but that's what the claim was, and it was $5,000.
Well, it must not have been too compelling because you never pulled the trigger.
Well, that's a lot of money to spend on something like that.
And you don't seem to have trouble pulling the trigger on expensive things.
Yeah, I like to trade up in certain areas. I really wanted the dentist chair, but I don't have room for it now anyway. I don't know where I would put it here. You can imagine if I brought it here, where the hell would I put that thing?
How the hell would you have moved it from San Francisco?
Yeah, it would have cost me probably $5,000 just to move it from there up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's something to look into. Maybe they're on sale on eBay now. Maybe people are getting rid of them for something else. Get a deal.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for humoring me there. I just felt like today it was very fitting with everybody moving upstairs and with the conversation we had last week. This would be a good thing to bring up. And that's all I got to say about that. What is this? Oh, on Slack, Gomer, your buddy. He said, like a coffee machine that'll never get made.
There you go.
Man, I was in a good mood until I saw that shit now. The old spin coffee maker.
What is the spin update?
There's always a spin update, and there's always
kind of like there's always Tesla news. So.
There's always some spin in the update as well. I'll say that. You like that?
Okay. Yeah, that was good. That was a good segue.
Yeah, good segue. So they did come out with the March update. It's March 20th. I think it came out a few days ago. They're getting a little sloppy with their delivery updates. They had a lot of information. You can tell how delayed it is by how long the response is, right? Oh, here's our update. Instead of being like, shit starts shipping next week. No, it's like 19 paragraphs long about, well, here's Jimmy, like in Brazil, like working on some tooling, you know, and they go into detail and show video. They are very thorough in their updates, so I appreciate that. They weren't always that thorough in the beginning. They're just like, yeah, we're working on it. But probably not going to ship any sooner than the end of the year. Probably going to happen early 2020. They are, I forgot the design, like in manufacturing, you have these different toll gates, and like they've progressed past beta testing or beta 2, I think now, or something like that. But there's still a lot of kinks to work out.
So we're what, 2 years on from order time?
Oh no, I ordered this in 2016.
Okay, we're already over that hurdle.
Yeah,
Okay.
December of 2016. It will be probably 4 years. No, it would be 3 years if I get it this December, right? Yeah.
We should create some more Tesla, or not Tesla, sorry. I love my Tesla news. We should create some more spin news because we do get Google hits searching for a spin coffee maker.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So there you go. We should.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
No, Siri thinks I'm talking to her. No, I'm not. I said serious. Oh, that's funny. Well, then we should. Maybe we can put Tesla on the back burner for a while and just talk about spin.
Spin update every week.
I'll just read it. Like that would take me 15 minutes in our topic section. I could just spend that time like reading, you know, what the update says.
Sounds riveting.
It's very exciting. Lots of videos and photos, and the promise of one day there might be a coffee maker that I paid for 3 years ago. Well, I'm hopeful. It's looking up. They're going to get there.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Me too.
I've got a really cool. This is moving on from the office culture thing. This is something that you actually just uncovered too, and I have known about it for a little while, but when I found out about it, I was kind of shocked too. So if you're an iOS user, for anybody that's an Android user, stop listening. Actually, don't. But did you know that you could, as let's say if you're texting, for instance, and let's say you've texted a paragraph, if you click and hold or push and hold on the space bar,
Yeah.
you can move the cursor around as if it's like a mouse pointer almost. Like a precision mouse pointer.
This is brilliant. Whoever came up with this really should get like the Apple Innovation Award if they fucking have one there, or they need one if they don't have one. This is life-changing. How many times am I in the middle of a text message and I realize I misspell? A lot of times I would just send the text misspelled because I don't want to try to spend time to go back and fix it. It was very difficult to go back, and I'd be pecking on the thing.
Yeah, to be able to touch in the right spot for it to put the cursor in that location was incredibly difficult.
Yeah, it would
and it didn't seem like it was accurate.
No, not accurate at all. Didn't do a damn thing. Hardly ever landed where it was supposed to. So yeah, like figuring this out after they've had it for a few years, I think, right?
I don't know when this came in. This would be interesting to know what version of iOS this actually shipped with, or maybe it's been there all along. I have no idea.
Yeah, I have no idea, but I just found out about it a few weeks ago, and it's transformed my texting experience, typing, like putting notes in the iPhone, anything I do with text input. It's changed the whole thing. Game changer.
The crazy thing too is you're not alone. Like it's not like something that like tons of people know about. I don't think, because I didn't know about it. Christina didn't know about it. Dana didn't know about it. You know, like so many people that I've like shown this to, and they're like, "Are you fucking serious?"
Yeah, yeah. So because it's so important, you gotta say it again. But you gotta do what? You press and hold the space bar.
Anywhere that you're doing text entry, you press and hold on the space bar. It should kind of gray out, I think, all the text.
All the characters on the keyboard disappear, and you just see the buttons, but nothing there. And then you can, move your finger like it's a touchpad, left, right, and some apps up and down, depending on if it's a paragraph. And boom, it's just a little mouse cursor thing.
Gives you a precision point to put your mouse cursor wherever you want. So
it's brilliant.
Yeah, just wanted to bring that up because, like I said, something that none of us knew, even in tech. So clearly it's not a super well-known thing. So maybe other people would get some use out of that.
That should be something they talk about at the keynote. You know, it's like, they're like, oh yeah, we have the new A9 chip has 85,000 million more transistors in the last. Who fucking cares, dude? But you say, look, iPhone users, get out your phone. Like, try pecking on some characters. We've got a fix for you. Press and hold. Holy shit, look at that.
Maybe Steve did that, you know, at WDC 2005.
He probably did. And one more thing.
Yeah, right.
People are excited. They're like, wow, we're going to have a bigger screen. He goes, oh, yeah, we figured out the space bar thing.
So, yeah, that was big news to me. Big news to you. Let's move on to some other news.
Rain says it's been out for a while. Of course it has.
Let me tell you what hasn't been out for a while, Rain. The Tesla Model Y.
Zinger.
Yeah, buddy.
Oh, man. I'm going to crack another one for you. Enjoy. There you go.
There you go.
He's all hopped up on a Mountain Dew over here.
I thought that was a good one.
That was great. What's happening now with the Model Y? What the hell is this shit?
Last week, Tesla had another big announcement, which was a good day for me because that means more Tesla news on the show here. The Model Y was announced. So the Model Y is the new Tesla SUV that they've brought out. It looks almost exactly identical to the Model 3, just a little bit larger in proportions. And the pricing is much more in line with what the Model 3 is. So the only other SUV Tesla currently has is the Model X, which has got the big, what do they call those doors?
The DeLorean doors.
DeLorean doors, yeah. And it's crazy expensive. I want to say that car is like $150,000 or something like that. Whereas the Tesla Model Y starts at, I believe, $39,000. So very affordable family car.
Same chassis as the 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
With the ability to have 7 seats.
Wow.
7 seats is an upgrade, of course. It's a $3,000 upgrade, but you can have 7 seats in the Model Y. So it was really interesting to watch because there was an unveiling event, naturally. But watching the event was really, really kind of cool. Not because necessarily the Y, I wasn't that excited necessarily about that particular model, but the event itself kind of reminded me of like Apple back in the day, like when they launched the iPhone in the App Store and like they were like, oh, well, now we have 800 billion apps, that kind of thing. So they were kind of going through these slide decks, and the initial slide decks were like, oh, here's Gigafactory 5 years ago or whatever it was, right? And it's just like an empty field. And they're like, here's Gigafactory now, and they show a picture of current today, and then they're like, oh, and this is, by the way, this is only a quarter done, right? And it already has a huge land footprint.
Wow.
And then they do the same thing for their China factory, and they were like, well, and that one's going to be, I don't remember the exact number, but they're like, oh, that'll be 8 times bigger than Gigafactory. And you're just like, what the scale of that is like yeah, exactly. Like, how do you even have that much land available? Same thing with like the supercharger network. They showed like, oh, well, 5 years ago or 8 years ago, I can't remember the numbers, but they had, 15 superchargers across the United States or across the world. And now they have hundreds of thousands. So like in the scale of like, say 5 years. So like, it's just like the numbers are just so impressive and how quickly they're moving. Granted, they're burning through cash like crazy, but it was just really, really cool to watch like their progression and their growth. And like, even despite all these people saying, you're never going to make it, you're never going to make it. Like the things that they're doing are pretty impressive.
That was one of the criticisms of the announcement I heard, is that because they're charging a larger deposit, I think it's what, $3,500?
Could be. I'm not totally certain.
$2,500. I think it was $1,000 before, right? $1,000 down you put down for yours?
Yes, that's correct, for the 3.
Yeah, so now they're asking for a little bit more money up front for the deposit. It's not actually a deposit. I forget what they call it. It's just like some bullshit thing, and then you got to pay more when the car's, later on. But that was it knocked the stock down originally because people were speculating that they were so hurting for cash that they had to announce this so they could just like get a bunch of people to sign up for it and then raise some money. Quick little fundraiser.
I think I looked at their stock recently, and it had been sliding even post this announcement. I don't know where it's at currently, if it's come back up at all, but the Model Y has been kind of in the works for a very long time. There's been rumors of it for a very long time, so I don't think it was something that they were just like, oh, let's pump out another version of something real quickly to make some more cash. Like it's been in the works for quite a while.
I thought it looked pretty cool, and the fact that you got similar for having 7 seats. Performance, the rain, all that stuff was, I don't remember now. It was very close.
They're very similar to the Model 3. Like most everything was very similar. The interior looks almost exactly the same as the Model 3. Like there's almost no perceptible difference. So the car itself looks very, very, very close. So if you like the Model 3, you'll probably like this, and it's an SUV, so it has a little more room. There's more vertical room and side-to-side room. So the thing that I did hear, though, is kind of back to the story that we did last week, where they had kind of retracted their the showroom thing, where they were going to close all their showrooms. That was the one that I heard that maybe that was a gimmick, because suddenly now they're announcing, oh, well, we have a backlog of all these cars that we have to produce because there was a sudden spike in people that wanted
Yep.
wanted the various cars because they weren't going to be able to go to the showrooms and check them out or whatever the case might have been. So like now people are like, well, was that a media, a publicity stunt basically?
Yeah, it's a little suspicious if you have a 10-year lease running still.
Yeah. Right. Well, they wouldn't do something like that, I'm sure. The other thing to note about this car, which is really interesting because people have wondered if this was going to be the case for a very long time. So they now have the Model S, the Model 3, the Model X, and this is the Model Y.
Sexy.
Sexy. Yeah. They even alluded to it in the actual demonstration.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So Tesla is sexy now.
I always thought their stuff was.
Yeah.
The Falcon Wing door. That's what Rain reminded
Falcon
me.
wings. There you go.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Good to know. Very cool, dude. Well, I'm happy that you are happy that you got some new Tesla news on the podcast today. That's great.
Yeah. Well, we wouldn't want to miss a week.
Yeah. A lot happens in 7 days over there. Very cool, man. Did you hear about the announcement of the new gaming platform out of Google Stadia?
I've seen a ton of screenshots of controllers for this thing.
Yeah. It looks kind of like an Xbox style controller, right?
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of the details of this. It just came out. I just skimmed over a few things, but I thought it was interesting because it doesn't require hardware. It's not it's not a dedicated hardware device, right? It's not like a PS4 or something else that you have to go to the store and buy. Like it'll work on all kinds of existing hardware, mobile phones, laptop, whatever you've got that you can pull the web up on, it will work with.
So they're moving more to the kind of idea. There's a number of these platforms that are going to this like streaming concept so that you don't need the hardware necessarily to run it. Really all you need is a screen that can stream the video.
That's right.
And the hardware is backed somewhere else.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's all cloud based. The compute power that they have in the cloud supposedly is more like for you or me would be more powerful than an Xbox and a PS4 combined.
Right.
So you're getting 4K, 60 frames per second performance out of it, all rendered in the cloud, streamed to you. And what I thought was really impressive about the demo was they had somebody on YouTube that clicked into a game and it just fired right up. Like, I don't know games. I don't play games, but yeah, opened it up, clicked on it, and they were instantly in the game.
It's a lot like what we're doing in the tech industry where same thing, everything's moving to the cloud. There's so much more power there. There's so much more scalability available there. Same thing with games, right? Like now, if you're not playing, your resources can be dedicated to somebody who is playing. So there's a lot more hardware that can be thrown at it, and it can be spun up in incredible rates. And then, like I said, if you're not familiar with how this technology may work, then basically you're running a game on a server that's, let's say in Seattle, and then you're basically getting a streaming video feed back to you of what that video is or game is doing, basically, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's not unlike what we talked about a few weeks ago with HoloLens 2. Same idea, right? You have this dumb headset that can stream video. It's a streaming service on your face. And then all the compute is being sent back to the cloud and then being updated and sent back to you in near real time.
And you don't have to manage any of the games, right? Like you said, they're already there. They're already updated. You don't have to deal with installing software, updating software, or doing any of the maintenance of that on your own. It's all handled for you.
Yeah. The other piece of it that's going to be huge for them is using their controller to play these games. There's some button that will start up a live stream on YouTube. And so there's already an insane amount of people that watch live stream on YouTube. I don't remember how many hundreds of millions of people, but it's like it's a big bet on them. Right now, Google gets more than 200 million logged in daily active users watching gaming content. And so from an ad perspective, like they can just go, they're going to go through the roof with this. Like if everybody has one of these little controllers and now they're streaming live, oh shit, look out.
Well, and that's the crazy thing too, is like I assume, I don't know this for a fact, I'm going to just kind of go with it, but I assume if you have that controller, you probably can connect it to any of your devices, probably your phone, tablet,
it's probably
whatever.
Bluetooth connection.
So as long as you have that little controller with you, you can move from device to device to device and keep playing the same game, even though you don't have it necessarily like quote unquote installed as you would think of today.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to read more about it. It's hot off the press.
Yeah, I've seen a ton of news about this, so it's pretty exciting. I'm pretty sure Steam has a similar product I thought Microsoft had something coming out with this as well. It's Xbox has the same or a similar thing where you can stream to, I think, your TV as well, through the Xbox or something. I don't remember, but I saw something very similar. A lot of them are working on very similar products like this, but this is exciting.
I think it'll be fun to see what happens. I would actually do this. I would try it out. Yeah. Here's some data center specs. This is just fun. I like this kind of thing. The Stadia data center PCs where games will actually be running will use Linux. And the GPU, 10.7 teraflops. That's a lot of flops. 56 compute units. Custom x86 processors, 2.7 gigahertz hyper-threaded memory, 16 gigs of RAM. That doesn't seem that impressive. Yeah, whatever.
PC master race, as my friend Gomer from the Slack would say.
PC what?
I play on consoles a lot. I usually play on Xbox and stuff like that. So anytime that we game together, he's playing on a PC, and he's a PC gamer. He's got pretty high-end specs on his machine. So he always, anytime he can kill somebody that I can't or something like that. Oh, PC master race.
Oh, PC master race.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the next one here. What do we
Before we move on real quickly,
Oh.
I think it's something that I brought up earlier this week with somebody else. It's just funny the transitions that we continue to go through in the computing world. Because I remember back in the day, like when I first started working, my first computer job was at my community college that I went to, and I was setting up old WISE terminals, if you remember those.
Dumb terminals.
Dumb terminals, yeah. That basically was a screen that connected to a mainframe server somewhere in the building or off the building, whatever. And we now have went from that to everybody in the world had their own personal computer. You had your own tower, you had your own whatever. And now we're kind of going back to that model again, right? Everything's not on your machine. It's on some other machine somewhere else.
Exactly.
So,
and it's similar but different paradigm too, because now it's like we've talked about a few times, it's becoming just something to stream. As long as you can get video and we can kind of do the input output to the cloud now. Latencies have gotten low enough. Well, the cable that we taught, the undersea cable, like the low latency, right? Like we've advanced to a point now where latencies are getting so low that you don't have to even have the box right there to do it for you. You can have it send it off site and bring it back. It is cool to see how it goes back and forth like that, though.
right.
Yeah.
Well, let's grab one more story here. We got the Apple AirPods version 2 were announced. Was that this morning?
Yeah, I saw it today.
What were your thoughts on this?
Well, I like the idea. For one thing, wireless charging is a huge plus. We were kind of talking about that. We thought that would happen, right?
I was disappointed when I got my original ones and they didn't have wireless charging.
I was surprised, too. It was probably just a quick... Well, there's a couple things about that. They probably could have done that, but then they wouldn't have an easy V2, right? This is kind of a layup.
Yeah, there's not a ton of substantive, is that how you say it? Substantive updates here aside from the wireless charging.
Yeah, the only other thing I heard that was interesting was the battery life. Calls, you get an extra hour on calls, which I think was a 50% increase or something like that.
And they're doing that with the update of a new chip.
Yes.
Yeah, a more efficient chip.
Yeah, they have updated the chip. So you get a little bit more battery life. It's more efficient and wireless charging. If you're an Apple V1 AirPod owner such as myself, and you have them too.
I do.
Then you can pay $79 to upgrade your case to have wireless charging, and it works on the standard wireless.
Qi charger.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So am I going to upgrade? I don't think so. I'm not going to pay I think it's $199. Not worth the upgrade for me. I just bought these, and probably not going to get the wireless case because I don't really charge them a whole lot. The fact that you can hold the charge in the case, I love that, and so I usually can get by for a few days at a time. I'm not always on the phone or always listening to music with those.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't think I would buy these. Like, they didn't change anything. The design's the same. The color's the same. Everything about them is the same with the exception of the wireless charger and the chip, really. And the chip in the battery life, to me, is not a big enough win to warrant the upgrade, nor is the wireless charging. Although convenient, you plug it in for, 10 minutes and the thing's like full.
Rain asked the question. He wants to know, but will they fall out of your ear?
Well, they fall out of my ears all the time, so yeah. I don't know. They're not. That's another. I would have that gripe too. I mean, they're definitely not. One size does not fit all. That is a definite complaint that I have of them. Although these, more so than like the wired ones, like I could never get those to stay in for anything. These are at least a little better.
Yeah.
for me.
I have an adjustment on them. I usually pop them in, and when I do it the first time, they're sticking out, and then I tuck them under, and it seems to hold a little better.
Huh.
But I would say, from Apple's point of view, that's a feature, not a bug. You know, they sell a lot more AirPods when you lose them every few weeks.
Yeah, that's probably true. But they are at least partially waterproof. I know from a couple people now that have had them in water.
Be very careful about that. I did research on it, and people have had mixed results. If the thing if the internal gets water, the piece that's in your ear, then you're pretty much hosed. But some people have done it and gotten a little splish splash on it, and it's fine.
I know when we were in Greece, my good friend Aaron took a dive into a pool and lost him. Fell out of the ears.
Yeah.
Lost him to the bottom of the pool. I don't think she had her contacts in or her glasses on or whatever, so she couldn't find him.
Oh, no.
So it sat down there for, 30 minutes probably, underwater. And she did the whole rice trick, put it in a bowl of rice, asked the hotel for a bowl of rice.
No
randomly.
shit.
Give me some dry rice. And they brought it, and yeah, we powered it up the next day, and it worked just fine. So
wow.
She still uses them to this day.
Wow, that's a testimonial if I've ever heard one. That's way beyond what they're supposed to do.
And one day I came riding in from home on my bike and was in the locker room, and you were showering with yours on, talking to your brother or something random. I don't know.
Yeah, I was taking a phone call, and I thought, well, I'll just be very careful in there and be delicate with him. So,
yeah.
Yep.
Well, they survived that so far, right? So
they did.
It must not be too bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
another 50,000 miles, man.
Yeah, exactly. I still love the things. I mean, the quality on them, like, again, the quality of the audio that we talked about the other episode, they're great. Like, the sound quality is wonderful. So highly would recommend them, but I don't think this is an upgrade step if you already own a pair.
The verdict is in. Kyle speaks.
That's right.
Wait till
Boom.
next time.
Yeah. Anything else you need to go over before we get out of here?
I think we're good.
All right. Well, thanks for everybody for listening on the various chat apps. We had a whole bunch of people feedback. That was cool. We are at www.coffeecodecast.com/live. The artwork for the show is provided by Yerne the Gentle Giant. You can see more of his wonderful illustrations at www.coffeecodecast.com/gentlegiant. If you have an idea for the show or want to chat with us like anybody else did here.
I thought that was really great, by the way. Thanks for doing that today, guys.
Yeah, on Twitter at CoffeeCodecast, or we are available at email coffeecodecast@gmail.com. We're on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play Music, wherever you get your podcasts. And you can find everything else at www.coffeecodecast.com. So thanks for listening, everybody.
See you next time.